welcome. If you are feeling a bit overwhelmed about caregiving and caregiving for your aging parent, and you are starting to feel like I need some more help, or if you're what I call caregiving on the horizon, meaning you kind of see that you're giving more care to your aging parent, but you're not quite sure what you should be doing, I want to talk to you today about a care circle. And this care circle kind of goes both ways. It's for your parent and about your parent, but it also is for you as a resource for where you can go to get some of your questions answered or to get some extra help. So, this is what a care circle looks like. So, have a look. Your loved one is in the center, and all of the spokes that come out around are all of the different avenues that you can use to help support you. And it's all of the avenues that they have to support them in their journey, whatever it might be. So, what I want to do is I want to go through each one of them. And, you might look at this and think, oh, yeah. But stick with me here. And maybe I'm going to touch on some things that you didn't realize that you could get help in this way, or you hadn't thought of, and you think, oh, this could help fix this, or this could help make this easier. So the first one at the top of our care circle is our friends and neighbors, right? These are the people that probably have provided some assistance to your aging parent over time, right? There might be the ones that are checking on them now if they're living in their own home. They might be the people over the years that maybe have watched you grow up. Who knows? These are the people that kind of know your parents, and they can offer some advice. They might be part of a church community, right? And they might be able to provide some support in that way. They might be the ones who, if you're up-leveling care and you're finding that you need to be with your loved one more, or you need somebody with your loved one more, these might be the people who come on in and sit for an hour until you as a caregiver or a hired caregiver gets there, right? They might fill that gap. And they also might provide some real help when it comes to making some decisions. You can use those neighbors who have been longtime neighbors to help assist you when it comes to thinking about up-leveling care. And maybe the neighbors have decided that they're going to look into a senior living facility, right? And they're going through that. And you can kind of have that conversation with your own loved one and say, what do you think about that? Look at what they're doing, right? You can kind of use them as a model. It works sometimes in starting some of those hard conversations, which happens to be another video I have about starting hard conversations. All right, let's move around our circle here. Medical support. These are our doctors, our practitioners, whatever professionals that we have, whether they're specialists, they're, your PC, whatever it is, this is the medical side to things. So if your loved one has a particular diagnosis, if you're looking to get a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's or one of the other types of dementias, you can look at specialists, gerontologists, right, for who are the doctors for aging people, our seniors, right? That is the place for that type of medical help, giving you insight in what comes next or what you could be doing. It's also the place where you can get some information on the medical portal, right? As you are gathering information about your loved one's health, right? If you're that caregiver on the horizon and you're just starting out, this can be a good reference for you. Look back at their records and find out, what medicine should they be taking? It's listed there on the portal. When should they be taking it? Directions are listed there on the portal, right? So that's really good source of information to help you, so you're not in the dark. The next one, as we move down and around, is emotional support. Probably one of the ones that are overlooked the most. Emotional support can be counselors, can be therapists. I know if your loved one is a veteran, the Veterans Association, Veterans Hospitals, they offer counseling and therapy because, especially if you're dealing with dementia, things from the past seep into the present and sometimes become escalated. And so help through the VA can be just what you need because they know how to handle it, right? Clergy, faith leaders of any kind can be really comforting for your loved one. They might find that they'll talk to them about things more than they'll talk to you. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Another point of view might give them some solace, some calm, right? But remember, I said that this isn't just a care circle for your loved one, it also is an aid for you. So, counselors, therapists, faith leaders, clergy, and coaches for caregivers like myself, right, are places where you can find help. If you overlook the emotional part of this journey, you're going to struggle even more. We have to deal with it. We have to deal with the hard parts of caregiving over 50, right? So many other things come into play, and it gets really heavy sometimes. For us to be a good caregiver for our loved one, we also have to take care of ourselves. Because if we ignore ourselves, we become more run down physically and emotionally, and we're not giving the best to our loved one. Okay, let's keep working around the circle here. We're sort of on the left-hand side, working our way up and around. Financial support. Oftentimes people don't think much about finances when they start helping with caregiving, but it's part of it, and it kind of has to be part of it. So the financial support, this can be whether it be an attorney or a guardian, whoever has advice for taking care of the finances, right? If you have real estate, if you have property, if you have other assets in investments, these things come into play oftentimes as you up-level care. You might need these things to help you get more care, right? So knowing about the finances is important. Very practically, knowing about the finances, if your loved one is no longer able to pay the bills, you find out that, the electric bill hasn't been paid in 3 months, you might have to step in this area and look into these things and find out, where is the checkbook? Where are these things kept? What bank do you use? Right? These are all things that end up getting sort of entangled in this caregiver journey that we have. All right, headed on up here on the left-hand side of our care circle is our community resources. And these are the agencies, the organizations in the area that provide some kind of support or some kind of services. These could be anything from a senior center, like a community center where they can go have lunch, play games, meet people their own age, have a social life. These can also be places like, heck, in bad weather, these could be places like warming centers. If they're still living on their own and you're caregiving from afar, this could be really important. This could also be like the area agency on aging, where they can provide support that comes into the home, not just healthcare support, but also working with your loved one with chores around the house or light housework and cooking for them, bathing your loved one, even like lawn care or snow removal. And if that's like starting to ring a few bells for you, I do have a video coming that talks about the area agency on aging. I mean, it's important enough for me to do a whole video on it for you. So check that out in my list. Okay, so as we move up, then we get to the top with other family members. You know, these are the people that are related to your loved one who also probably have a say in their caregiving, and you get to decide how much of a say that they have. If you're the primary caregiver, you can bounce ideas off of them. They too, might provide support as far as we need a meal made, we need somebody checked on, we need tuck-in service, right? Which is actually a thing you can get from the community help. They're there, right? They can also be there to offer advice that sometimes you feel like you don't need. And that's a whole other video that you can check out on my channel too, when those family members sometimes offer a whole lot of advice, but not a whole lot of help. But it is part of your loved one's care circle, right? It's still part of the people who interact with your loved one and are very important. And we want to include as many of these people in our care circle as we need. Sometimes we might only need one or two of them. Sometimes we might find ourselves using everybody in the whole care circle. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It's not much difference in caregiving for our aging parents, especially when we're over 50 and we have other responsibilities ourselves. We need to pull on these resources to help ourselves out. Sometimes we get so involved in caregiving that we almost become isolated and we put blinders on as if we're the only ones that can make the decisions, or the only one that is, forced to make the decisions, right? As a duty, not that you want to do it, but you have to do it. But if you use your care circle, you can get yourself back to, I want to do this, because you're not doing all of it. You might orchestrate, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be there 24 hours a day, right? That's all part of this journey, figuring out how to find the balance. And starting with the care circle, that can help lead you toward the balance. All right. If you want to learn more, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you are feeling really emotional about some of the things I said here, or as you look at this care circle, please don't hesitate to go down to my show notes and click on the free support session where you and I can talk like in real time, whether it be on the phone or on Zoom. I'm here for you. That's why I started this channel, and I really want to help you. Okay? So have a look, pick from your care circle, use it. Use it for your loved one and use it for yourself to help bring balance in this journey that you're on. Thanks so much for joining me today.